Hello, 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 hello. Okay, there we go. Okay, is this fixed? Okay, it seems to be working a little bit better now. Is that working? Let's see. Seems to be a little bit better. Okay. Okay, yeah, it looks like it's working. Okay, so I don't need to watch myself. I have one screen on myself. That's good and surely good enough. Let's get back to the race and coverage. Let's see. This question is whether my Wi-Fi can handle having all of these devices on at once or not. So, yeah, we're just going to keep it like that. That should hopefully be good enough for now. But yeah, so in terms of some of the crazy strategies I think we could see potentially for this Grand Prix, I think the first one that I was thinking of is that maybe it wouldn't work super well, but one of the ones I was thinking of was that if Verstappen basically cuts off Norris going into the first corner. So basically, he comes across. Of course, Norris is going to be starting on the inside, Verstappen on the outside. So even if Verstappen gets a better start, comes across and basically tries to block him on the apex of the first corner. Oh, here they go. I'm just gonna stop talking and say, okay, so they do have the drivers' championship trophy, and they have the three of them standing on what seems like boxes in front of the. Yeah, and very awkwardly standing there in these elevated boxes in front of the trophy with the other drivers behind. I'm guessing this is for the national anthems. You have Dominicali or Stefano Dominicali and MBS there, Ben Salam there as well. So yes, I'm assuming they will have to stand there until the anthems are finished. So getting back to what I was talking about, I think that would be one option. Verstappen basically gets a very good start, comes off, cuts off Norris going into the first corner, and then potentially tries to allow Piastri or Russell to come ahead and get ahead at that first corner. That's, I think, a very high risk and not very likely going to happen. The other option I think that's a little bit more likely is what's going to happen is that Verstappen will basically really manage the pace throughout the entire Grand Prix. So, for example, that would be going, close to flat out through sectors 1, sector 2, but then as soon as you get to sector 3, backing up the field a lot, quite a bit just like what we saw with Perez and Hamilton in 2021. So that's definitely something that we might see, and why that could be important, even if it doesn't really help. Verstappen or Verstappen really gain anything in the drivers' championship. If Norris and Piastri still are stuck, like if they're still in position P2, P3, what it could do though is it could make it so that there's a little bit more jeopardy at the pit stops, and the top three don't just go flying off down the field and have a very very easy pit stops at what could be their one and only pit stop. But based on what we've heard from Pirelli so far this weekend, it looks like it might actually end up being a two-stop strategy, just because they apparently resurfaced a lot of sector 1, and because there is a little bit of high speed corners at that sector 1, it's actually reduced the grip of those corners, and it actually means that now a two-stop strategy might actually be preferable. So that's something definitely to watch for in the race. Do you go for a one stop? Do you go for a two stop? That's something that I think is going to be pretty crucial. So they have the anthems going on right now. They have the flyby of the Emirates, of course, the plane with some military planes as well. And so again, we're getting pretty close here to the start of the Grand Prix. Grand Prix starting in about 15 minutes time. So I think start, especially for Norris, is going to be crucial. I expect Verstappen to lead into turn one. Norris, I think his starts, I think recently have been a little bit meh, I would say. Uh, Perhaps he gets a good start and keeps P2. I think that would be, good for him. Best case scenario, of course, would be actually taking the lead into turn one, because that would basically mean all bets are off with regards to any potential strategy of Verstappen trying to back Norris into the rest of the field. So I think that's definitely one that could be a bit of an interesting twist. Of course, the worst case scenario for Norris would be something like a jump start. Uh, does kind of like a bit what Piastri did in Baku, where he gets a jump start and then trying to recover from it or to stop the car. He then misses the real start and ends up losing like 5 or 6 positions. So that's something that could definitely be, uh, that would be like the absolute worst case scenario would be like a Baku 2025, like Piastri type start. Even, what happened to Hamilton in 2007, I mentioned this in my video earlier this week, looking at historical drivers championship fights where there's been like a 3-way title fight going into the last round. That's definitely where Hamilton basically started P2. He actually started the best position of the 3 championship contenders, but actually lost, came out, really poorly after that first lap. Lost position to Raikkonen, I think, at the first corner, then lost another position to Alonso into turn 4, went off track at turn 4, and ends up P8 after starting, I think, P2. In that first lap of that critical title decider in Abu Dhabi. So for Norris, that would be like an absolute worst case scenario, would be having a really poor opening lap, ending up, P5, P6, even worse than that, of course. And that's something that he's going to really want to avoid. So in terms of risk management for Norris, I think it's going to be, very, very, there's a very fine line there, right? You don't want to be too aggressive. Try to take, go for a Hail Mary, try to take the lead, risk, hitting Verstappen, that basically potentially hands the championship instead to Piastri. If, you do a repeat of last year's start where, Piastri and Verstappen hit each other, their races are both heavily compromised. And instead you have, in this case, it would be Piastri who would basically just sailing out in front, and you'd have the other 2 cars making, if they're not out on the spot, trying to make a recovery drive. So can't be too aggressive and try to do that, but at the same time, can't be, too meek, too risk averse, and ends up, potentially getting swallowed up by, Russell, Leclerc starting, P4, P5. I think worst case scenario, there would be somehow falling behind Alonso in P6. Alonso, I think his race pace is going to be a lot worse than either Russell or, well, we're not sure. I'm not sure what Ferrari are going to be this race, just because I think it's, they've had a very poor end to the season, we'll put it that way. And so as a result, I think you might see Russell might be able to hang it with the top 3. But for example, if Norris gets stuck behind like Alonso, I think that's, pretty close to game over. I'm not going to say game over, but I think it makes his life much, much more difficult. And it would be quite ironic that, 15 years on from Petrov kind of ruining Alonso's 2010 championship, you can have Alonso playing the role of Petrov ruining Norris's championship, if that is the case. So that's a start. In terms of further, like, on in the race, I think the other potential twist that you could have with the championship is, of course, around the pit stops and what do you do with Tsunoda. So Tsunoda's, of course, these are old magnets from last year. I haven't been using these at all this year. I've been using, of course, the digital screens and everything, and that's been, I think, a little bit better. But still, I thought this was basically the best compromise you could get for today. And so, of course, you saw, Tsunoda's in his racing balls. You have Hamilton in the Mercedes. You have Hulkenberg in his Haas, and Sainz in his Ferrari. And of course, the rookies as well. I don't have their magnets, so instead you just get the team logo with the driver acronym underneath. But for example, with Tsunoda at the pit stops, if Red Bull leave him out very, very long for that first pit stop, he could potentially try to hold up. If the field is condensed enough, if Tsunoda can get a really good start, get himself up to like here, then potentially Tsunoda could do a really good job of trying to hold up either Norris or Piastri, which could make their life very, very difficult. And it could cause them to basically fall behind some of these drivers here who could be really, really important for Verstappen's championship. Because I think ideally, Verstappen's best case scenario would be that these two drivers here end up ahead of Norris somehow. If it's only one of them, likely what's going to happen is that Piastri will basically be asked to move over, and Piastri and basically Norris will take that position, which will not be, I think, a great look in terms of taking the championship in that way. But I think McLaren would basically do it just because it would be pretty embarrassing for them not to win the drivers' championship with the car that they've had this year. Okay, so drivers getting ready, getting into their cars now. You have Piastri on screen right now, getting into his car, all booted up. They've got their helmets on, they've got the hands devices on, and they're basically in the final minutes now before the grid gets cleared away and we start our formation lap. So let's see, it's according to my clock, it's 9:52. My time starts at 10 p.m. So we have about 8 minutes until lights out. Again, now we see Verstappen on screen doing the same thing, getting his helmet on and getting his helmet ready. Obviously, for Verstappen, this is not his first go-around in terms of last race title decider. It will be, very, very. He obviously had the experience from Abu Dhabi 2021, which is, I would say, even more so than this, even more high pressure situation. Of course, 2021, Hamilton, Verstappen were level on points going into that race, and it was basically a winner-take-all situation. I do think that in that, at least for the start of that race, I do think that, having that experience definitely helped Hamilton there. He obviously got the better start. He then tried to overtake Verstappen, tried to overtake Hamilton into the first corner, or into, I think, turn 6, I think. And then basically Hamilton went across the escape road. And again, the rest is history from there. But I do think that, at the for the first lap of that title decider, do you think that experience helps Hamilton? And so it'll be interesting to see how the nerves, how the pressure affects the two McLaren drivers. I think definitely more so Norris than Piastri, because I think that at this point, Piastri is such an outsider for the championship. He's probably going to be more relaxed than Norris, for sure. And I think that for him, it's really going to be about just making sure he doesn't negatively affect his teammate. I think is probably just going to be the main goal. Because of course, if you're Piastri, the worst case scenario would be, accidentally taking your teammate out in this kind of situation, which would almost not guarantee, but it would almost guarantee a Verstappen championship in that scenario. So, I think for Norris, of course, most pressure. Verstappen, I would say probably close to the least amount of pressure, just because he wasn't really expected to be in the title fight. She has 4 championships already. And again, so I think that's probably the biggest factor. I think Norris definitely most pressure. I'd say Piastri and Verstappen, just with the way the championship is, where they're starting the Grand Prix, I think they're probably about equal. And so again, something that I think will definitely play on both on the minds of both Norris and Piastri. Now, the strategy, the pit wall for McLaren, I think that's going to be a really interesting one. McLaren's operationally have made pretty bad mistakes the last couple of Grand Prix. Vegas, of course, they went a bit too aggressive with the setup of the car, got the car disqualified because of plank wear. In Qatar, they really made a mess of the strategy with not pitting under the really early safety car, because they were afraid that it was going to lead to lead to unequal results, unequal treatment between the two of them, with Piastri leading and then Norris, of course, in P3. And that inadvertently really hurt Piastri's championship chances. Didn't necessarily help Norris's, but it really helped Verstappen's. And if anything, it actually made it more likely that you would have a non-McLaren champion, that decision to not pit under the safety car. So I think, should we have something similar, like let's say we have a safety car lap 10, lap 15, lap 20, I think would be kind of in that perfect range. You may see something, I would be very curious to see what McLaren's strategy is and what they decide to do. I think obviously for Verstappen, any early safety car, as long as it's not too early, you basically take that free pit stop, especially since it might be on the edge of being a very marginal race between a one stop or a two stop. So that's something that should be interesting to note. Let's see. Let's see if this one should be as entertaining as the season opener. Oh yeah, the season opener Formula E. Yes, that's right. I think, to be honest, I watched the Formula E race this morning, and I got the result was spoiled because I accidentally opened my phone, and for some reason the algorithm on Instagram decided to put Formula E first and not F1. Um, but yeah, it was an interesting race. That Marty crash was pretty chaotic, and yeah, so that was definitely an interesting race. Okay, so we got the title card out. No special title card this year for the uh, no special title card for the title fight. I thought they were going to do something like that. Obviously, in 2021, they did a special kind of showing how the championship battle between Hamilton and Verstappen basically evolved over the season. I thought they were going to do something like that with the three this year, but nothing special. I guess maybe they didn't have the budget for it. Of course, 2021 was pretty special with you had Hamilton and Verstappen level on points. Not the case this year. Obviously, of course, Verstappen or Norris has a pretty sizable advantage with that 12 points advantage. Yeah, so for the full course yellow for Murray, I think that's what it was. It seems like he basically, obviously, he's new to Formula E. They don't have the full course yellows in Formula 2. And so it seems like what happened was that he may have just miscalculated, misjudged the braking zone. Uh, misjudged the braking zone for the two cars in front, and then he of course basically did like a double somersault. So pretty violent crash, I must say. Glad that he's all right. Glad that it was relatively he was unhurt, it seemed. But yeah, it definitely seemed like a rookie error though. Yes, the magnet board is back, and that's something that special for today, just because we obviously couldn't. I was trying to do the special graphics, but the computer, a combination of the Wi-Fi and the computer wouldn't let that happen. So instead, we're doing low tech. And so we're going through the grid now. Of course, got to the bottom 10. Now going through the top 10. We already went through the grid once. We'll go through the grid again. Let's say biggest disappointment of qualifying, I think, would have to be Hamilton in 16th. But I think you could also give an honorable mention to Antonelli in 14th. He's been closer to Russell recently, but still 14th is a bit disappointing. Biggest surprise in the positive, I would say, is probably Bortoleto in 7th. He's not had a great run in qualifying recently. He's been out-qualified by Hamilton quite a bit, or by Hulkenberg quite a bit. And then also I would say Ocon, a bit of a surprise. He got into Q3 since he'd had a pretty torrid run in qualifying recently. So, yes, those are, I'd say, be the standouts and positive. Bortoleto, Ocon in the positive, and then Antonelli and Hamilton in the negative. So, 1 minute to go to the start, and looks like the formation lap is about to get underway, of course, as the sun sets in Abu Dhabi. So, probably the single most important moment of the race is here. We have our initial conditions here, so we know what the starting grid is. But it'll be very, very exciting to see how the start goes, how that first lap goes. That's probably going to be the single biggest, test for Norris. Can he get a clean start? Can he make sure that he's, not miles off? Doesn't have a bad start. And then, of course, the pit stops or any kind of late, safety car, really, any point in the Grand Prix outside of the first, 2 or 3 laps, could be a pretty, those are kind of the two main key moments of the race to watch for. But here we go. The crew are leaving the grid. They're kind of getting the cars ready. And we are very, very close to starting the formation lap of the 2025 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Let's see. The trophy features 2 wings to symbolize. Okay, I don't know what it said, but they basically showed the trophy the winner's trophy, and it had the the messaging for of course the trophy has to symbolize something. Can't just be a trophy. It has to have all these symbolism and this all other meaning, because that's how the world is these days. Oh, so here we go. Formation lap starts. Drivers leading away. Verstappen, quite aggressive, leads the way. And let's see. Okay, we see the tires. So Verstappen, Norris on the mediums, Piastri on the hards. Everyone else down to Tsunoda on hards. So Tsunoda's on hards. That's what I thought. Interesting that McLaren are splitting strategy. So according to Pirelli, it looks like it's just a one-stop. The best strategy is a medium to hard one-stop or a hard to soft one-stop. So interesting there. But very surprised that McLaren have split strategies. Piastri starting on the hard, and then Verstappen, Norris, of course, starting on the medium. That might leave Piastri a little bit vulnerable on that first lap at the start, being on the harder tire, and it might allow someone like Russell or Piastri to get ahead of him. So we'll see what happens there. But again, one of the easiest ways to stop Verstappen from winning this race is to be able to have that flexibility with strategy. And again, doesn't necessarily mean you can't just pit at the same time as everyone else. It would just mean that you would have a very hard second stint on the medium. Let's see. Fans have traveled from 105 different countries for the 2025 season finale. Wow. So almost half the countries on Earth fans have come from, which, again, not a big surprise. F1's a global sport. And Abu Dhabi being in, a pretty central location, at least globally, it's not too hard to get there from, many parts of the world, especially Europe. At least here in Japan, it would probably be not that hard. It would be a 7-8 hour flight. It's still pretty expensive, but still not that far off. So here we go. We're close to the end of the formation lap. Norris, of course, this is his big moment. Can he win his first F1 championship? Can Piastri win his first championship? Of course, Verstappen is going to be going for his fifth in his row, and what would be arguably the biggest comeback in F1 history if he can get this win and win the championship here in Abu Dhabi. So here we go. The top three, going back to the grid, getting back to their starting positions now. So now we have some tense moments here waiting on the grid. We'll see what happens for the start. Let's see. Verstappen is leaning a little bit to the left. So that means he's kind of try to cover the inside line, perhaps kind of try to come over and cut off cut off Norris as soon as he can. Norris seems like he again has a slightly. He's also coming directing his car towards the middle. He's probably going to want to get a good start and try to get ahead of Verstappen. That would be exceptionally good for Norris's championship challenge chances if he can get ahead of Verstappen at the start. Here we go. The two Alpines are coming across now to complete the grid. Of course, starting 19th and 20th. It's been a pretty wretched season for the Alpines. And let's see. So here we go. Five lights are on. Coming on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lights are out. Oh, Verstappen gets a good start. He comes across very aggressively. He cuts off Norris. Norris goes to the outside of turn 1. Alonso got a really good start. He gets ahead of Russell and Leclerc. But Leclerc gets up into P4, so it's top three are all in the same position. Verstappen first, Norris second, Piastri third, Leclerc fourth, Alonso fifth, and Russell now down in sixth. Hadjar, I think, going for a lunge down the inside of turn 5. Not able to make it stick. I think there's a blue car there. Who the heck is that? Antonelli? Oh, no, it is Russell. Yeah, Russell's not had a good start. Oh, Alonso's challenging Leclerc down into turn 5. Oh, and the two McLarens as well. Too wide. Piastri looking like he might try to make a move on his teammate. Oh, and Alonso not able to hold it alongside into the chicane against Leclerc. But he's going to try again down into the hairpin. Oh, is Piastri going to make a move here? Oh, is he coming? Oh, he's coming. Piastri overtakes Norris into the hairpin. Oh, that's not sure if that's according to plan there, but we shall see. So Piastri is now P2. and Norris is now in P3 with Leclerc P4 and Alonso P5. So that has been a good start for Verstappen. He does what he needs to do. A bit of a surprise there by Piastri getting P2. And for Norris, he is now P3 on the grid. Russell, really good start. Norris, Russell, really poor start. Leclerc, really poor start. So we're going to have to get this fixed. So at the end of not lap 1, this is lap 2. We're going to have to get this fixed out now. I don't think we're going to see a lot of overtaking this race. So I probably will not have to change this too much. But we now have Piastri up to P2. There's P3. Leclerc and Alonso are both up in position, so that drops. Oh dear. Russell is P6 and Bortoletto is still P7. Okay, so looks like we're now in the DRS train. Norris doesn't look super comfortable. Leclerc looks like he's close to being on his DRS. And this could be a very, very tense indeed. Kind of surprised that Piastri was able to get ahead of Norris so easily, especially since he was on the harder tire. But maybe, Norris being a little bit, risk adverse at the start. So let's see, 7th Bortoletto, 8th Hadjar. So that's a position up there. We're going to just use this here. I'm only going to put the names in once in a while, but I think, people should be able to figure out who that is. 9th Ocon, 10th still Sonoda, 11th is now Lawson. So Lawson's now up to 11th. 12th is still Behrman. Behrman's now 12th. It's a poor start by Sainz. Behrman is 12th. 13th is Hamilton. So good start by Hamilton, gets up into 13th place. 14th is Sainz. 14th is Sainz. That goes there. 15th is Albon. That's a really poor start by Sainz. Albon. Yeah, Sainz down 15th. 15th is Russell on the radio. Check the brake if he's long. He seems to be struggling on the brakes. That's not ideal. Sainz, Albon. 16th is Stroll. 17th is Antonelli, and then Hulkenberg and Gasly round out the rear. So that is how things line up after lap 3. So I guess we're on to lap 3 now. So I can change lap 3. Hamilton, Albon incident, leaving the track and gaining an advantage. So Hamilton potentially under investigation for that move there, getting up into 13th as he did. So I guess we'll have to see a replay of that to get a better idea of exactly what happened on the at the start. So Verstappen has a 1.8 second lead. Norris 1.5 seconds further behind. Piastri, Leclerc 4th, Alonso 5th, already about a second behind Leclerc, which is about what I expected. I don't think the Aston's going to have particularly strong race pace, which could be an issue for Russell, and therefore could also be an issue for Verstappen as well. Verstappen has fastest lap of the race. Norris in the DRS of Alonso. Leclerc in Norris's DRS as well. Okay, looks like Russell's going to try to make a move down the inside. Oh, and he gets a move down. Yes, so Russell is now ahead of Alonso down the inside of turn 6. Alonso didn't really fight it particularly hard. And so that is now Alonso up into 5th place. Oh, Leclerc is going down the outside of the hairpin. Is he going to try to make a move on Norris? Okay, that would be quite uncharacteristic if that would be a big surprise if Norris was overtaken by a Ferrari of all cars here at Abu Dhabi, and that would actually drop him down to 4th if that were to happen. So that's Russell up to 5th, Alonso now in 6th place. I think I saw another change of position as well. Hamilton's still 13th. Okay, so that's maybe he didn't get quite ahead there. So I believe that's the only change of position. I think Stroll's still ahead of Antonelli there. We're happy with this as long as you're comfortable. This will be plan A target lap, plan A target lap. So that is Will Joseph's radio to Lando Norris. So I guess that means you're probably going to do a one-stop strategy with the target lap. Whatever that lap is likely what they're aiming for. They're starting, of course, on the medium tire, which means they'll probably almost certainly going to be pitting onto the hard tire around lap 20 or so. That's going to be the plan for Norris. Verstappen now 2.4 second lead on Piastri, and the rest of them are basically in a DRS train. Okay, so Leclerc is basically fallen out of DRS of Norris now, which is about what you would expect. The McLaren should have the best race pace, with Verstappen. So that's not really a big surprise that Leclerc would be dropping back. If it really is just like a 3-horse race between the three of them, then yeah, that's going to be that's going to make it very difficult for Verstappen to be champion if that is the case, because it means that there isn't really anyone there who could potentially drop Norris out of that podium position. And that would leave, in terms of championship possibilities for Verstappen, that would leave reliability. So that would be, for example, an engine failure, for example, for Norris, or a really big mistake as well would be the only real possibilities. That would allow Verstappen to be champion if that is indeed the case. And that's something that we're going to have to watch for over the coming laps. So now they're just showing a replay of the start. Russell, really poor start, drops behind both Leclerc and Alonso. So yeah, uncharacteristic. He had a very scruffy Q3 as well, Russell. I don't think he could have qualified in the top three, but he definitely, I think, could have been a little bit closer to Verstappen as well. So this is a replay of Piastri getting past Norris on the second or third lap, or the first lap, I should say. Yeah. Of course, like I said before, Piastri is on the hard tires, and of course, Verstappen and Norris are on the soft, or on the medium tire. So they're likely going to have to pit before Piastri, which means that Piastri is likely going to be leading this race at some point. Should there be a late safety car? Okay, we have radio from Verstappen. This is good for now, Max. We may wish to go longer, so just keep on top. So likely perhaps extending the stint if the tire wear looks good, which again makes sense. You don't want to get caught out by a safety car. Gasly Hulkenberg noted for a turn 5 collision. Not sure what that was. They were 18th and 19th, so probably doesn't have much bearing on the race as a whole. Okay, so we're up to lap 7. And I believe no changes in position now. Yeah, so there you go, lap 7. Okay, Norris, Leclerc still kind of within DRS range of Norris, 5/10 gap going into the hairpin of turn 9. But still not really able to look like he's making a move. Norris at this point is now 1.6 seconds behind Piastri in P2, who is a further 2 seconds behind Norris, or Verstappen, who's in the lead of the Grand Prix, obviously, at this point. No other changes of position really outside of that first lap, which is kind of what we expected. Abu Dhabi is not a great track for overtaking. And unfortunately, with the dirty air with these cars, the aerodynamics of these cars are so advanced. Okay. There was just a radio from McLaren to Norris, Piastri, where they've asked Piastri to do something. I don't know what that is. If it's to give Norris a tow or what that was, what exactly the message was, but we shall see what that is. Okay, so Hulkenberg's the first driver to pit. He comes in on lap 8. That's very, very early. And so now he is down in 20th place. So that allows Gasly and Colapinto to move up a position, and Hulkenberg is now in 20th. Let's see if we can stay putting Verstappen under pressure. Okay. So Piastri, McLaren want Piastri to try to take the lead from Verstappen, which of course would make his life, or Norris's life, much easier, because it means that even if he finishes P4, he would still be champion if that was the case. For example, if Verstappen finished second, that would be 18 points. That means Norris would only need a 7th place finish if Verstappen was P2 and Norris and Piastri won. So that makes things much easier, and it means that Norris could finish 5th and he would still be champion in that situation. Piastri is to speed up. Okay, thank you for the update. Yes. So I guess they don't want, I guess maybe perhaps they're worried about the dirty air of Piastri potentially affecting Norris. I know something that they've talked about this race is that they're worried about the front graining, and that's something that Norris has not had a great time with this season. Induces understeer, and it also means that the tire wear becomes an issue. And yeah. Okay, so next set of drivers pitting. Hamilton and Albon both pitting as well. They both, I believe, at least Hamilton, started on the soft tire. 2.4 second stop for Hamilton. Albon is what is it? Let's see what the time is. We can't see what the time is, but that's okay. 2.1 second stop for Albon. Norris in pretty good position. Leclerc's holding on, looking like he might try to make a move. But let's see. Verstappen has started graining on the front right tire, just like what I said. But we shall see how this affects him. So let's see that Stroll up to 14th. And Antonelli, oh dear. There. Oh dear. Hulkenberg is split between the two of them. So that means that L1's in last, gets undercut by Hulkenberg. And so let's see, we're up to lap 9. Okay. So I think it'll be really interesting. So one of the issues I think that we're going to potentially see is that, of course, with a bunch of drivers, Tsunoda and Piastri both starting on the hards, but even with Stroll and Antonelli as well, depending on how good their pace is, something that could be an issue is that if one of the leaders pit, they could basically get stuck behind a car that's quite a bit slower, and they're going to be going, about 10 to 15 laps longer, I would say. And that's basically like what happened to Alonso and Petrov in 2010. So that would be, again, a really bad scenario potentially for McLaren if that were to happen. Fastest lap of the race, Nico Hulkenberg, 1:28.442. Definitely who we expect to get fastest lap. And of course, just pitted for a new set of tires, so makes sense that would be the case. In terms of gaps, we're on lap 10, so we're almost about 20, not quite 20% of the way into the race yet. Verstappen leads from Piastri by 1.9 seconds, and Norris 1.8 seconds further back. Race control loss environment incident, turn 8 driving erratically note. We think Verstappen's grading has started. Your tires look in better condition than his. So Will Joseph telling Norris that his tires look to be in better shape than Verstappen's. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. It could be psychological as well, just to try to help Verstappen or to help Norris. Something that we've seen in the past with drivers. I know with Massa, that was something that his race engineer used to do a lot with him. Basically tell him things that were not necessarily true to, try to get him to drive a little bit better. And something that we've seen at some other points earlier this season with basically, like, for example, Will Joseph trying to convince Norris that, Verstappen, his pace is going to fall off a cliff or something. So we shall see how this goes. Okay. So lap 11 of the Grand Prix. We're in a pretty static position at the moment. Not a lot of wheel-to-wheel racing, just like I thought. and we're kind of really waiting for the first pit stop phase, and we're going to see who blinks first. The first team driver to pit for the front runners could end up getting themselves stuck behind some very slow cars. And so that could definitely be a less than ideal, I think would be a good way of putting it. Okay, so it seems like Leclerc is now out of Norris's DOS. So at least it means for now, it should mean that he probably won't get overtaken by Leclerc on track. In the pit stops is a different story altogether, though. That's something I think we'll have to watch for in the next, 5 to 10 laps, I would say. Okay, this one, lap 12. So now we're past 20, actually lap 13 now. Past 13% the race. Or past 20% of the race, I should say, not 13. Yeah. So about 1/5 of the way done the Grand Prix. As things stand now, of course, Lando Norris would be world champion. Of course, since even though Max Verstappen is leading the Grand Prix, Norris is in the podium positions, and so he's in the position that he needs to be in to win the championship. Okay, Norris comes on the radio saying migraining is definitely picking up. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I think the tire wear in the cooler conditions has been a little bit more, I would say, equal between the Red Bull and the McLaren. Of course, when the conditions are really, really hot, like we've seen at some races, like I think Miami was a great example of this all that time ago in May, where they basically just drove away from Verstappen. But in these cooler conditions, I think track temperature is about 25 degrees in Abu Dhabi. It means that, in theory, tire wear should be relatively equal. And the front graining, I think, is something that, if anything, it's something that's hurt McLaren more than Red Bull. So pit window is for the medium tires is lap 20 to 26 is what they're saying. So that would mean doing about 20 laps on the medium and then potentially 38 laps on the hard at the most, in the most extreme scenario. So as of now, the only 3 drivers who have pitted, of course, are Hamilton, Hülkenberg, and Albon, who are down in 18th, 19th, and in 20th. Okay, Gasly pits as well. I expect that he will come out in last. I'm just gonna make that change now. 5-second penalty for Lawson for driving erratically. That's a bit of an odd one. So that's the penalty that Piastri picked up in Silverstone. So we're just going to do +5. So that's going to be a penalty that he's going to have to serve at his pit stop, which means that he would probably drop, potentially behind this group here. Right now, let's see, if you do 5 seconds, that would basically put him to Colapinto, basically. So yeah, that's probably Lawson's race ruined, and probably any chance of scoring points are gone with that. So one of the key things to watch, I think, for the pit stops is going to be the McLarens trying to make sure that they can get Norris out in front of Tsunoda, because Tsunoda is basically going to do everything he possibly can to make sure that, to try to hold up the Red Bulls as much as he, or hold up the McLarens as much as he legally can. Okay, so Russell comes into pit. He is the first of the front runners to pit. Hadjo comes in as well. They are going to drop down to basically right in front of Hamilton, likely. Behrman comes in as well. Colapinto comes out. And let's see, does Russell come out? Yeah, Russell is, okay. So that's down a position. And all these cars are basically going to have to get moved up. Just get that out of the way. Hadjo pits well. So that moves Ocon 7th to 8th. And we're just going to get rid of that as well. Behrman pits as well. So that signs up to 10th in theory. Then Stroll, Antonelli, and Colapinto with Russell in 14th now, followed by Hamilton. Hulkenberg. Are they coming out for a pit stop? No. Or maybe they're just trying to fake it. Yeah, it looks like maybe they're trying just to fake it. Okay, so Hulkenberg, Albon, Hadjar, Behrman, and then Gasly. Okay, so Hadjar's lost out massively there. He was, of course, in the points before, but now he's down in 18th, and he's basically been undercut by Albon, Hulkenberg, and Hamilton as well. Okay, so we have a Sauber in the pits. That's Bortoleto. Colapinto also pits as well. So that could be important. I'm guessing with the pit stops with McLaren, what they were trying to do is that they were trying to basically trick Verstappen into pitting as well. I don't think it's something that it's a trick that we've seen quite often over the years. But let's see, that's Bortoleto and Colapinto who have now pitted. So Colapinto and Bortoleto are now down the field. Okay, Norris, and keep building this gap on Leclerc. It gives us choices. Okay, yes, that's very true. It does give you choices. It means you don't have to basically worry about getting undercut by unlike one lap. So that's Ocon up into 6th, Tsunoda into 7th, Lawson 8th, 10th, 11th, 12th is now Russell. Oh, dude, Sunshine's got ahead of Stroll. Alonso's now being told to pit. Okay, so this is going to be very chaotic. Oh, okay, we do have a McLaren in the pits. It is Norris. So Norris is pitting now. Okay. We have to take that off the board. Oh, Leclerc comes in too. Interesting. So Leclerc and Norris both pit, and Alonso as well. So that they all come into the pit lane. This is going to be, okay, 2.1 seconds off for Norris. That's good. This is not likely. I would say potentially going to be his one only pit stop. Alonso, 4.1 second stop. That's not ideal. That's definitely slower than he would have wanted it to be. Lap 17 is a bit of an early stop. He's going to have to do 41 laps on these hard tires if he's going to make a one-stop strategy work. And so for Norris, he comes out in 9th place. So behind Tsunoda by a good margin. So Piastri is told, Oscar, do you think we could do Plan A? Thoughts on Plan A? Piastri says, I think doable for now. So Ocon now up into the podium positions. 4th place is that Tsunoda. So these early pit stops are potentially meaning that I think Norris potentially puts himself at risk of really getting stuck behind some of these really slow cars, which could be an issue. But crucially for Norris, Leclerc and Russell have both already pitted now. And so that could be really important for him, basically making sure he's out in front of them after that one and only pit stop. Okay, 6th place is Stroll. So Stroll gets himself up to here. Sainz, and then Antonelli. Then we get 9th place. So the first of the pitters is Norris. And then we have, I think, Leclerc, and then Russell as well in 11th. Then beyond that, we have Hamilton. 13th is Hulkenberg. 14th is Alonso. Where is he? So Alonso's lost out a lot with that pit stop, and then you have Bortoleto 15th, 16th is Albon. If that's not moving under braking, I don't know what. Literally, as I move, right team moves. So Russell complaining on the radio. I'm assuming that's about Leclerc. That's the car in front of him. So potentially, depending on how that is perceived by the stewards. Okay, so Norris is now ahead of Antonelli. So that's a position gained for Norris. Now up into 8th place. There we go. Okay, so pits right now it's 27.9 seconds between Norris and Antonelli. So that could mean that, in theory, if Verstappen pits now, he should come out in front. Go, Max, go, Max. Yes, and that's definitely a good sentiment to have. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so here's Norris looking like he's overtaking. He's overtaking the Williams of Sainz. So Norris is now up into 7th place, making quick work of these back markers, not running into the problems that Fernando Alonso ran into 15 years ago. 17th place in this Grand Prix is Hadjar. 18th is Behrman. And then, I expect Colpinto to be last, so that's there. And, Leclerc, Russell, and, Sainz now ahead of Antonelli. So, Antonelli perhaps, yes. No, Sainz pitting, okay. So that's one less car in the field. And we'll up onto lap 19 as well. So Sainz pits. And that moves everyone else up a position. Stroll 4 tenths behind, or Norris 4 tenths behind Stroll. Looking like he's going to try to make a move here. We'll see how that goes. Race control, Leclerc Russell incident noted, moving under braking, turn 9. So we'll see if anything comes to that. Perhaps it is a penalty. Oh, and Norris gets a double overtake done on the Racing Bulls of Lawson and the Aston of Stroll. So that moves Norris up into 5th place. And now the car in front of him is Yuki Tsunoda. So we shall see if Tsunoda can get anything done. Verstappen is getting nervous about us, Oscar. Let's push up to him. Oh, Lawson trying to make another move. Let's see. It doesn't look like he's able to make it stick. Well, Lawson tried there. Tried to make it stick. But, unfortunately with the tire offs and slower cars, very unlikely to happen. 14th in this Grand Prix is currently Bortoleto. And that means Sainz slots in. Where does Sainz slots in? Oh, dear. Okay, Sainz slots in 18th. All right, 28-second gap between Verstappen and Norris. I'm not the pit loss here for fresh tires, assuming a good pit stop should be like 23, 25 seconds maybe. The pit lane's a bit wonky here, of course, with the tunnel. But, okay, so Leclerc gets past Russell. I'm assuming that was after the pit stops, but I'm not sure where this moving erratic braking is. Okay. All right, we have Behrman, Ocon. Ocon's also made his one stop. Leclerc is now getting past Stroll up into 5th place. Okay. Yeah, so Ocon pits. No. Leclerc's 5th now. Okay, so these two are still here. Incident note involving Lawson and Stroll. Not sure what that incident was, but that's Norris 4th, Leclerc 5th, Lawson 6th, then Stroll in 7th, and then you have the two Mercedes with Russell ahead, and then all these drivers are moving up down to 17th, which is Behrman, of course, and here we go. There we go. All right, 25 seconds between Verstappen and... Okay, so pit stop is 21 seconds, and Norris and Verstappen right now is 25 seconds ahead of Tsunoda. So that means that if he were to pit now, he would come out still second, basically. Okay, so this is going to be interesting to watch. So for Sonoda's job here is going to basically be to try to hold up Norris as long as possible, basically like what Checo did. We expect Norris to be within your DRS within one lap, all you can do when he catches. Okay, so this will be interesting. So of course the goal is going to be to back up Norris as much as possible, but of course you don't want contact or anything like that, because otherwise that opens up an entire can of worms. Like, and I think it would make things very, very dicey very quickly, very toxic as well. So ideally, no contact between the two of them either. So let's see. Russell's getting past the cars, haven't pitted yet. Gets ahead of Stroll. I love the board. Oh, thank you very much. Yes. Haven't used the board a whole lot this year, but yeah, thought I'd bring it out for this video, for this live stream, I should say. All right, Sonoda, I know what to do, so leave to me. Okay, so I guess that's Sonoda channeling his inner Raikkonen from 2012 here. And again, okay, so Lawson pits is now, he will now serve his 5-second penalty that he has, and that will drop him probably close to last place. So let's see. Okay, so Stroll up. Okay, so Norris is getting close to being within DRS range of Sonoda. So this could be very, very interesting. I think he's only going to be able to hold him up for like a lap or two. Let's see, Lawson comes out dead last. So yeah, that 5-second penalty is a killer. Oh dear, we don't want the board to fall over. No, there we go. Okay, so here we go. Sector 3. This is where Norris can, or Sonoda can at least inflict the most damage onto Norris, slowing down as much as he can here, trying to hold him up. Is potentially going to be the only thing that you can really do in this kind of scenario. Okay, Sonoda Leclerc is only 1.4 seconds behind Norris. Okay, so on lap 23 now. Update that. So of course, Norris is not going to want to take too much risk here. Can't afford to make a mistake, crash into Sonoda, flat spot his tires. Now those would all be, very, very bad for Norris. So he's basically going to try to have to get past. Okay, so looks like Norris is within DRS range going down that first of the 2 DRS straights. Sonoda weaving. Oh, they're almost on the grass. Oh, and he gets, now Norris goes down the inside of the chicane, gets wide enough to be able to get a good line into there. But yes, now Norris is past Sonoda. We'll see if Sonoda can do anything with the second DRS helping here. And no, it does not look like he is. Oh, here he goes. Nope. Yeah, I can't get him. Okay. Okay, so now that means Sonoda is out of the podium positions. Norris is now P3. And now Sonoda is P4. Okay, so Verstappen's now into the pits for hard tires on lap 24. And that gives the lead to Piastri. So we'll see what Piastri can do with that. And Verstappen is now P2. Of course, he will come out well ahead, or he should come out well ahead of Norris. But of course, that will not be good enough for him. He will need to do better than that. You can feel the tension level Grand Prix final. Of course, yeah, Grand Prix final is the best. Okay, you've got clear air, so let's go. Okay, so we'll see what Piastri can do here in clear air. So here we're going to get a replay of Norris and Sonoda almost overtakes him off track here. Or Norris, or Sonoda is very, very aggressive here, very close to pushing him off. But Norris does keep at least part of a wheel on the track, so it won't be seen as, overtaking off track, or at least it shouldn't be. But we shall see. Yeah, Sonoda a little bit over the edge there with weaving down the main straight. I don't think the stewards are going to do anything just because. Let's see, turn 5 incident involving Sonoda and Norris is noted. Oh dear. We'll see what comes of that. Okay, so it looks like Ocon's gotten past Hadjar as well. So Ocon, Yeah, Ocon is now up into 14th. And Bowman's down 16th, and 15th is Hajar. And Leclerc is also past Tsunoda as well. So Piastri, 18.7 second lead on Verstappen. That's not good enough if he wants to come out in front of Verstappen, of course. If he wants to do that, it's about 21 seconds is what the on-screen graphic says for pit stop, but Verstappen also has 5.2 seconds in hand on Norris. I don't think Norris is really going to trouble him a whole lot. And it's really just going to be about Norris. For Norris, it's just going to be self-preservation. Make sure he stays on the podium and doesn't end up off the podium, of course. Let's see. Behrman is now ahead of Hajar. Hajar's not had a great Grand Prix. Of course, Hajar started in the points. The Racing Bulls, their race pace does not look very good. Of course, Lawson is down in the last with his 5-second penalty. Okay, here we have a replay of Leclerc. This is Leclerc overtaking Tsunoda fairly easily. A lot less of defense compared to what we saw with Norris. Okay, you need to hit a snowy highway. Okay, well, be safe. And yeah, you can keep the stream open on your phone if you want. Okay, Tsunoda Norris, turn 5, forcing another driver off track, noted. So that's likely going to be Tsunoda forcing Norris off track, not the other way around. I think it would be a bit harsh for a penalty, especially given it was asphalt runoff and Norris did get ahead. So, but we shall see what the stewards decide to do. Let's see. Yeah, okay. It's now under investigation. Norris and Tsunoda, the turn 5 incident. Again, like I said, likely that would be a penalty for Tsunoda, not for Norris. But again, a penalty for Norris would definitely not be ideal, especially if the race ended under a safety car or something, and because Norris has already made his one and only pit stop. So Leclerc is the fastest lap of the race. Current race order: Tsunoda, Piastri leads Verstappen P2, Norris P3, Tsunoda still P5, Leclerc P4, Russell P6, Stroll P7. So I guess Stroll is now behind Russell in the Mercedes. Russell, I don't think, has had a great Grand Prix. I expected a little bit more from him there. And we're up to lap 27, approaching half race distance in a couple laps time. And as things stand at the moment, we are looking at Norris winning his first World Championship. Of course, he is in the podium position that he needs to be in. Okay, Leclerc sets the fastest lap of the race. Okay, and so he loses a position to Alonso as well. Alonso now up into 9th place. So I guess that's Hamilton up in 8th. Antonelli down in 10th now. So in terms of drivers yet to pit from the Grand Prix, Tsunoda in 5th, Stroll 7th, and Antonelli in 10th are the only drivers who I believe are yet to pit. And of course, Piastri in the lead of the Grand Prix. Okay, I'm going to go and grab myself a little bit of water. I don't think anything will happen in the 5 seconds that it takes me. I'm going to turn the... Okay, Norris has set the fastest lap of the race. We have a replay of Norris, of Alonso overtaking Antonelli, I believe. Okay, so okay, so at this point, Norris is almost within the pit, is within the pit window of Piastri now. So if Piastri would have pit for his likely one and only pit stop, he would come out right behind Norris. Of course, would be on much fresher tires, softer tires as well, and I think likely would be able to get past his British teammate. Okay, so we're now at half race distance, lap 29 out of 58. All right, Ocon is now up into P12. Bortoletto 11th as well. So Hulkenberg down to 12th. Yeah. Oh, and that is Russell getting past. Okay, it looks like Ocon and Hulkenberg are battling wheel to wheel here. So, oh yeah, Tsunoda gets a 5-second penalty for more than one change of direction, which I'm not entirely surprised by. I think the stewards are probably going to take a pretty dim view of, excessive tactics that could potentially, impede any of the championship favorites. But no further action for leaving the track and gaining an advantage. I'm guessing that's for Norris in that situation, because technically I think he was, very, very close to being off the edge of the track. Okay, lap 30 out of 58. Okay. So Piastri Verstappen gap is now down to 13.7 seconds. So if Piastri were to pit now, he would likely come out about 7 seconds behind. Okay, Bortoletto and Antonelli going wheel to wheel. Bortoletto is now ahead of the Mercedes driver. So that puts Bortoletto at points now. And of course, he's done his one mandatory pit stop. So Hamilton, of course, had a very good start, but he also pitted very, very early. So it'll be interesting to see if Hamilton can survive on those harder tires. They're going to be 5 to 6 laps older than the cars around him. Let's see, black and white flag for Antonelli track limits. Oh, that's not ideal. This is not a track where usually track limits are a big issue. So black, white flag for Hamilton as well, track limits. So one Mercedes driver and the driver he replaced both getting black and white flags for track limits violations. I guess that's another thing as well that Norris will have to watch out for. Make sure he doesn't get one of those. So Norris has been gaining on Verstappen. He's now 4.7 seconds behind, even though he pitted before Verstappen. So a bit of a surprise there. But it's been a good scrap there for 12th and 13th with Hulkenberg and Alonso, or Hulkenberg and Ocon, I should say. Okay, Yuki, we have been given a 5-second penalty for moving twice on defense Norris. Penalty? What penalty, bro? We got a penalty for moving twice to defense Norris. Head down. Okay. So that's team radio for Tsunoda telling him he has this penalty. And Verstappen has set the fastest lap of the race. So now, okay, Hamilton comes in for his second pit stop. So I guess we do see a second stop for some drivers. We'll see how many we see that second stop for. So probably said in their pre-race, on the formation lap, they do the pre-race tire strategy. And it had basically one stop with the only ones that they had listed, even though many of the teams were saying two stop was likely going to be the case because of the resurfacing that was done. So I guess that's a bit of an oopsie for the graphic there for Pirelli. Hamilton doing his second stop, and that drops him down to 19th on track. We have a Red Bull in the pit, so that is Tsunoda. So Tsunoda will serve his 5-second penalty, and he'll probably come out here. Stroll is still not pitted. Interesting. Okay, and Antonelli pits as well in the Mercedes. So Stroll, maybe he can get points out of this if many of the other cars around him do 2 stops. Stroll at this point will certainly be doing a 1 stop. So it'll be interesting to see. Ocon gets past. Is that Russell? No, that's Antonelli. He get past. Yeah, so that's... Sainz is now 14th. Okay. Gasly. Okay. The 2 Alpines up here. 17th is... So Piastri and Stroll are now the only drivers who have not pitted yet. On lap 34. We have 24 laps to go in the Grand Prix. L1 also comes in. Okay, so what we're seeing is a lot of the drivers who pitted very early, almost within 10 laps, around lap 10. So what we're seeing is a lot of the early cars that finished pitted very early are basically doing 2 stops. So there's just a radio message to GP. From GP to Verstappen, basically saying that he didn't want to give away too much race time. Looks like McLaren are preparing another set of tires in the garage. That's likely going to be for Piastri, coming in for his one and only pit stop. Look at that. I guess an Alpine gets into the second row. Imagine that. Or the second column, I should say. So Albon comes out last. So with that 5-second penalty for Tsunoda, that basically takes him out of any potential impact, I think, in trying to help Verstappen. Just it means that he's too far behind. Even if Norris were to pit now, he would end up like well ahead and be well out of range. So the only thing that could potentially help is a safety car. Okay, so they're coming over the radio saying that if Leclerc pits, Norris is saying that they will come into pit and cover that the following lap, which depending on what happens with Russell could just stay out. So we'll see what happens there. That could be a very dicey. Like I think honestly, it's very, very close between a 1-stop and a 2-stop. I think for some of the team's drivers like Verstappen, who was one of the last drivers to pit from the mediums, I think he should be able to do a 1-stop. But for some of the ones like we've seen, Hamilton and Albon have already pitted. I expect Hulkenberg to pit as well pretty soon. And for Norris was one of the earliest ones to pit as well. So we shall see if that impact on who decides to pit and who decides to do a 2-stop and who decides to do a 1-stop. Okay. So Verstappen's basically been about a second faster on his laps recently. So he's catching him about a second a lap. Now, if Verstappen decides to do a 1-stop, something that could be an issue later on is if there's a late safety car, he could be caught out on older worn tires. And of course, having track position, normally that wouldn't be an issue. Like without a safety car, but if there's a safety car, that could definitely be a problem. That's effectively, that's what caught out Hamilton in 2021. So it looks like Hamilton gets past. Who did Hamilton get past? That was Carl Pinto. Albon incident speeding in the pit lane noted. Okay, so that's a 5-second penalty for Albon there. He's already down in 20th, so yeah, that's his race ruined. Okay, Piastri saying the rear tires are starting to get a little bit worse. So likely he's going to be pitting in the next couple of laps, which would be a pretty impressive stint on the hards. That would be according to Pirelli, the pit window for the hard is 39 to 45, and 1 lap 37 now. So, but that being said, I'm pretty sure these are the graphics from before they realized that this might be a 2-stopper. So, we'll see. We'll see how this goes. So everyone's done a 1-stop at least, except for Stroll and 6 and Piastri, who's leading. The only drivers who have done 2 stops are Hamilton and Albon. We've not seen a ton of overtaking. I think there's been some in the midfield, especially with some of the drivers around here with the big tire offset. Unfortunately, we haven't really been able to see those on screen. They've just been kind of showing at least one of Piastri, Norris, or Verstappen for pretty much the entire Grand Prix, and with some good reason there. Okay, we're getting shots of the McLaren garage looking at their tires. Perhaps they're going to pit Perhaps they're going to pit Piastri relatively soon. Here, Verstappen fastest lap of the race, 1:27.745. I think we need a safety car now to spice things up. That would be a nice spice twist to the race, because otherwise I think you're just going to see not a whole lot of action from here until the checkered flag, to be honest. Leclerc is now 6 seconds behind Norris, so pretty far, to be honest. And Russell is another 17 seconds further back. So yeah, Russell's race pace has been pretty horrific this weekend. Yeah, so Albon gets his 5-second penalty. Like what I said before, speeding in the pit lane. I'm tired. It's let's see, it's 11 p.m. here, so quite late. Time for some coffee. Yes, time for some coffee indeed. Hopefully, unless there's some crazy red flag or something, we should be done in the next 30 to 35 minutes or so. Okay, so did someone pit? So we have 6th, 7th, 8th is okay. So we got Ocon ahead of Bortoletto. So I have this nice battle here between Sauber and Haas for the bottom point positions, and then 13th, and then Hamilton is now up to 13th. That puts Gasly back into the third column. So, replay of Hamilton overtaking Hadjar for P13. We also have another one here, Ocon overtaking Bortoletto for P8. Verstappen, another fastest lap of the race. Okay, so Leclerc pits here, so this could be very important. Leclerc's pitting now. Norris's last radio message was that they would pit the lap after Norris. So we'll see if that indeed happens, or if Norris decides to just stay out for a one-stop strategy. Leclerc 2.0 second pit stop. That's very good stop. And with Russell having such a big gap down, Leclerc's only going to drop one position likely. Wait, did he just? Yeah. Okay, so we'll see if Norris pits this lap. I think Cole Pinto's pitted as well. Box. Okay, yeah, so Norris is coming in. And this is where things get a bit dicey, because now it potentially drops him out of podium position if he pits. And that would be, of course, be out of temporarily likely, at least outside of World Championship winning position. So Verstappen is now caught up to Piastri, 0.7 seconds between the two of them. And Norris is going to come into the pits. Is he? Yes, Norris comes into the pits now. So this is going to be very important pit stop, likely the last pit stop for Norris this season. He's going to want to make it a good one. Looks like it's a good one, 2.4 seconds. It's a pretty good pit stop there by McLaren. Okay, so Verstappen is now ahead of Piastri for P2. Okay, and Norris, in fact, his pit stop, he comes out just in front of Russell, so doesn't even drop out of the podium positions there. So I guess that's, quite fortunate, and that's not good news for Verstappen. No yawning. Okay, I know. Can't be helped. I'm tired. Okay. Okay, Piastri finally pitting now, and the Gasly and Colapinto drop to last and second last. That drops Albon. So Hamilton now up to P12. Now up to lap 42. So Piastri is now 24 seconds off of Verstappen's lead. So he now has about 16 laps. So basically, if he's over a second lap faster than Verstappen, he can potentially get up to the back of him and pass him before the end of the Grand Prix. So this is where a safety car would be really nice, I think. To always spice things up for the end of the race. So Piastri's radio message comes in saying they think that they want to try to chase down Verstappen for the lead, which I think is probably a little bit too optimistic, unless Verstappen's tires fall off a cliff, because I think he would basically have to do about a second, 1.2 seconds a lap faster until the end of the Grand Prix. All right, Leclerc sets the fastest lap of the race, 5 seconds now behind Norris. Stroll finally pits. He's done 43 laps on those sets of tires. Hulkenberg as well. Okay. Yeah, Ocon, Behrman. Throwing up to 8th. Fourteenth. Albon. Okay, Albon. Lawson. 18. Hulkenberg. Yeah, Stroll 17th. Okay. Okay. So GP came on the radio for Verstappen saying that Piastri needs to be 1.5 seconds faster to get past him. So, yeah, very unlikely that would happen. All right, Piastri sets fastest lap of the Grand Prix. And Norris was faster than Leclerc on the last lap as well. We'll see how many other cars pit. I think likely you're probably not going to see a whole lot of other cars pit between now and the end of the race. This we're kind of beyond the point where doing a second pit stop would be beneficial. You're not going to have enough laps left really. So unless you have something crazy like a safety car in the last 12 laps or so, realistically, the tires, everyone's on the tires that they're going to finish the Grand Prix on from here on out. All right, Hamilton now ahead of Bowman. Oh dear. So decent recovery by Hamilton, now up into 8th place in the Ferrari. Of course, started 16th. Qualifying's been a real struggle for him this season. Five-second penalty for Pierre Gasly for track limits. Okay. It's not really going to affect the end result a whole lot. Colapinto is only 6 seconds behind him, so race pace isn't that far off. But yeah, in qualifying, Colapinto has definitely struggled in comparison to his more experienced teammate. So Verstappen Piastri gap is down to 20 seconds, so not really dropping in any meaningful way. So Verstappen's asking if Charles is catching him or not, him being Norris, of course. And GP responds saying that they're about roughly equal pace right now. So yeah, Verstappen obviously does care about winning this championship, even if he's been pretty meh about it, I think, in his interviews and stuff. Of course, he's an extremely competitive guy. He wants to win every championship, so... Stroll up to 15th as well. Sonoda up to 12th. Yeah, so I've been quite surprised by how poor Mercedes' race pace are. They're about 13 seconds off. Russell's 13 seconds off Leclerc, and Antonelli's behind Sonoda and the other Red Bull. Well outside of the points. Deltas for top three. Verstappen leads Piastri by 19.2 seconds. Norris is 4.6 further back, with Leclerc about 4.2 back of Norris in P4. So not really a ton of battles on track for wheel to wheel. The closest battle in the top 10 is Hamilton is within 8 tenths of Ocon. And that's a battle for P7 and for P8. Okay, when the final 10 laps of the Grand Prix, 1 lap 50. And this is where you start to be in the, I guess, twilight zone. If you want to make a reference to 2021, where safety car now could set things up very nicely for a barnstorming finish to finish this Grand Prix. I don't think we're going to get our safety car. The reliability has been too good. Even the last race of the year, where generally you do have issues here and there. Reliability does kind of start to creep in towards the end of the season, especially as teams generally don't like to take good penalties at this track because overtaking is quite hard here. Although for something like Hamilton started down in 16th and he's now up in 8th. So has had a decent comeback. And in fact, gained the most positions. He's now 8 places above where he started this Grand Prix. So 8 laps to go. Verstappen still leads. Piastri P2, and Norris is P3. If things finish, of course, as they are, Lando Norris would be world champion. So again, we'll see if that continues. If there's anything like a safety car, reliability, and error, things that could potentially stop Norris at this point. Because realistically, Leclerc doesn't look like he's going to challenge Norris. The Russell has not been close enough. And even if one of them gets past, likely Piastri would just be forced to drop his positions to allow Norris to get back into a podium position. So it's looking like at this point it's going to be a Norris championship. Would mean that in the end result it would be very, very close at the end. But again, some people will start to bring up things like Spain. But again, I've talked about this like in my video, I think like a month or so ago, this kind of whataboutism with Verstappen dropping points here and there where he has. Again, if you apply the same logic to the other two drivers, they've dropped a lot more points, and that's really what's allowed. Even with Verstappen's mistakes, have really what have allowed him to be in this championship at all. So Lando doing a fantastic job here, mate. Everything is looking good. There's 5 racing laps, including this one. We think, what are your thoughts on softs? We're staying out on this tire. I think soft would be better. It's just if the safety car gets delayed or something, that becomes an issue. So now they're just starting to discuss what would happen if a safety car came out in the closing laps, a la 2021. Basically, you have a gamble. If you come into pit for the soft tires, it means you're in a much better spot for a restart. But of course, if the safety car stays out till the end of the Grand Prix, you basically don't get any of that benefit. You potentially drop positions as well. So Norris looks like that's Hulkenberg getting past Williams there. It's 15th, 16th. Yeah, so Hulkenberg above L1. And Stroll up to 13th. Okay, 7 laps to go. Verstappen still leading. Piastri P2, Norris P3. If things finished as they are, Norris would win the championship by 2 points over Verstappen. In this scenario, it would be Norris 423, Verstappen on 421. Stroll gaining very, very quickly. Of course, Pettit came out around here, and he's now up to P13. So has shown that overtaking has been possible this evening. We just haven't seen a whole lot of it just because they've been focused on the top three the entire time, even though nothing's really happening with them. All right, 6 laps to go. All right, Hamilton up to 7th. Oh, Ocon gets... So Hamilton gone past Ocon, but then in the second DRS back zone, back straight, Ocon gets the position back, so he's back up to 7th. Hamilton back in 8th. It's on. We'll update this to lap. What are we on? Lap 53. All right, so Verstappen, Piastri gap 15.9 seconds. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to get past challenge Verstappen for the win. Piastri is 3.3 seconds ahead of Norris, and Leclerc a further 5.7 seconds further back. So, not really looking like he's able to challenge Norris for the win. So really the only thing that looks like it could stop Norris from being world champion here would be reliability, an error, safety car causing some kind of chaos, or potentially something like Vegas where you have a post-race disqualification, which I'm pretty sure McLaren would have, crossed their T's, dotted their I's, make sure that there was no possibility of that happening with the setup for this weekend. Because that would obviously be a pretty massive disaster if that were the case. Okay, 5 laps to go. Okay, Hadro down in 17th. Hulkenberg in 15th. Albon 16th. So for the live standings, as things are now, Norris would be on 423 points. Verstappen would be 2 behind, second in the championship on 421. And then you would have Piastri would be, be three up on that. So that would be 13. So he would be on 310, I believe, in that situation. So that's what the championship standings would be for the top 3 if things finished as they are. 4 laps to go. Norris closing in on Piastri as well. I don't know if they're going to switch positions there just as like an additional buffer, or what's going to happen there. Stroll making moves up. Stroll now up into 11th place. Looks like Stroll might be able to get points here. He's had a very strong evening. Sainz 13th, 14th, and then Hulkenberg. So Norris, is he struggling with graining? And engineer says for Oscar it's more the rears. So looks like Piastri struggling a bit with rear tires. Norris looks pretty comfortable. A bit of a surprise given that, although actually, Norris did 2 stops, not 1. So actually not that bit of a big surprise given that Norris would be on such has been the McLaren pace that they were able to basically do a second pit stop and come out well in front of Russell, which normally has not been the case for most Grand Prix this year. So, okay, 3 laps to go. All right, Stroll now in the points. That's a good result for him. Berman, I think, believes still P9, Stroll P10. That would be Bortoletto P11, Sainz 12th, Hulkenberg 13th. That would be Tsunoda. Stroll and Sainz noted for a tornado incident. Well, we'll see what that is. But 14th is Tsunoda at this point. Okay, so the celebrity of the week doing the checkered flag is in position. I guess we'll see her. Anna de Armas. Don't know who she is. I guess we'll be doing the checkered flag for this Grand Prix, which of course will be in 2 laps time. 2 laps to go, separating Norris from his first F1 World Championship. Okay. So Verstappen starts his final lap of the race. We're on lap 58. Verstappen's done everything he can. Took pole, led most of the laps of the race, of course, except for when he had pitted and Piastri hadn't. But it looks like despite all of his best efforts, despite being 104 points behind, he will not be champion in 2025. It's looking like Lando Norris will be world champion on the final lap of the race. Norris is about 3 seconds behind Piastri. Don't think they're going to do anything there with the positions. I think they'll just keep it as it is. It's just the easiest thing to do. And, as things stand, Norris is in championship winning position. So here we go. Verstappen's going through sector 2. Norris as well. He is approaching turn 6, going on that the first of the 2 back straights. Leclerc 7 seconds back. Doesn't look like he's going to be anywhere near challenging him. So Verstappen comes to the final couple of corners, coming through the final corner and takes the checkered flag. Max Verstappen wins the 2025 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, but in all likelihood will not be champion. Here comes Piastri. Piastri comes through the final corner. And now joining the list of British champions, Hawthorne, Surtees, Clark, Stewart, Hamilton, Hill. Lando Norris joins the list of British F1 champions. He is now F1 champion. And now that has McLaren's first championship in about 16, 17 years, of course, since Lewis Hamilton in 2008. And so Lando Norris, there you go. Lando Norris is your F1 world champion of 2025. This was definitely a season where they definitely made it a little bit harder than it could have had to be. But he's finally done it. He's finally come through, overcome the engine DNF in Zandvoort, and will now be 30 something points behind, I believe, Piastri after Zandvoort, and he's now world champion. So yeah, great resilience in the last couple of races, great wins in Brazil, Mexico City, even with a bit of a wobble of the last triple header, Verstappen winning all 3 races. Those 2 races in Mexico City, Brazil, in the end proved crucial to Norris winning this 25 championship. And for Verstappen, P2 finishes P2 for the first time in his career. We'll see what 2 points off the championship, very, very close in the end, but close, but no cigar, as they say. So on the cool down lap, obviously right now, they've shown, okay, Norris's radio. We'll see what it is. Okay, so Will Joseph telling Norris that he's world champion. Yeah. Yes, Norris is very, very happy. Not a big surprise there. Beat outcome. I'm assuming you best outcome. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I guess we're not going to have any of the complaints and drama that we had with 2021, of course. I think would have been nice to have a bit more of an interesting race. Nothing really of course, I think with some of the all-time classic championship races, who's winning the championship would change from lap to lap. So yeah, Verstappen doesn't seem too disappointed. We'll see what his reaction is. I'm curious to see what his body language is. Usually, you can tell a little bit more from Verstappen's body language and what he actually says. Yeah, the Red Bull pit wall do not look happy like they look, but yeah, 3 points or whatever it is, or the 2 points gap. And Verstappen would have had the tiebreaker with the eighth win. So, there's so many little things throughout the whole season. 2 points, you could have picked that up anywhere. Could have been the McLaren sprint or the sprint in Miami. Could have been the safety car in Miami as well. Dropped 3 points there. Spin behind the safety car, Silverstone. There's so many little places here and there. That second pit stop in Brazil. Could he have stayed out, won the race from there? That would have been enough to be champion. So lots of little things there for Verstappen, Red Bull, that, things gone a little bit differently. If Norris isn't asked to, switch positions with Piastri in Italy, that's less points for Norris. If he doesn't barge past Piastri in Singapore, that's less points for Norris there. So again, so many small things throughout the season that could have made the difference. But at the end of the day, this is the result that we have. And so Norris gets out of his car, celebrates, and it looks very, very happy, overcome with emotion as well. And yes, we'll see. Yeah, of course, fingers crossed. No, I guess even if you're a Verstappen fan, fingers crossed for no disqualifications this time, just because that would be quite. I think there would be enough conspiracy theories with that. Yeah. So yes, Norris embracing his mother, his parents. Now he's high-fiving his team who are on the pit wall, but for some reason on the McLaren team are in the on the racetrack. Let's see if the F1 page. Yeah, Norris takes F1 title, Verstappen wins Grand Prix. Yeah, that's about what you would expect. Someone here, I don't know who this is, embraces Norris. Don't recognize him. I think these are people who were in Norris's garage during the Grand Prix. Zach Brown now here. Yeah, Norris with his mechanics now as well. So, and Russell comes out as well. So congratulate him. Norris still hasn't taken his helmet off. And Sainz comes over to celebrate as well. Of course, the 2019-2020 is a very famous bromance of Carl Lando. And why is MBS still here? He's inserting himself in everything. And I think, I don't know, I guess they're waiting for the interviews as well that are going to show up eventually. He finally takes his helmet off. Okay, post-race time. Finally, time for the post-race interviews hosted by David Coulthard, of course, former McLaren, former Red Bull driver as well. So I guess fitting that he does the post-race podium interviews. A 35th world champion in F1 history as well. Norris just said that he knows what Max feels like. I guess it's very true. Okay, so only a couple more minutes until the they're still doing the interviews. So I guess that's it for the live stream. Thank you for those of you who watched. It was enjoyable. A good way to help me stay awake and not fall asleep. Otherwise, this would have been a lot more difficult. Not a super interesting if this was not the title decider. would have definitely been a lot less interesting, a lot less captivating. But as it is, being a title decider, I guess, we're all pretty happy that we got at least one title decider in this rule set. So thank you so much for watching. That's the end of the live stream, and be back. I probably won't do a review tomorrow, but I guess I'll do my power rankings a day early, and then I guess that's the end of the season, and we'll be into off-season content mode. So thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.